A storm rages over New York skyscrapers, lightning slashing the heavens like blades of fire. Outside the federal courthouse, a chaotic crowd churns, their whispers of scandal and betrayal weaving a web of dread. A dark, almost otherworldly music pulses through the air, amplifying the sense of an impending cataclysm. This morning, the trial of Sean, Diddy, Combs, a mogul whose name once echoed through the halls of fame, enters its fourth grueling week. Accusations of human trafficking, extortion, and sexual abuse have already painted a chilling portrait of a man whose empire was forged not in music, but in fear. For weeks, former assistants, fallen confidants, and insiders have taken the stand, each testimony peeling back the glittering veneer of celebrity to reveal a world where terror reigns supreme. But today, something unimaginable is about to unfold, a moment so seismic it threatens to shatter Hollywood to its core. The courthouse's heavy oak doors creak open with a solemn groan. The crowd falls deathly silent, their breaths held in collective anticipation. A lone figure steps forward, unaccompanied, stripped of the usual entourage or flashing cameras. It's Brad Pitt. His face, carved with steely resolve, bears no trace of the charismatic icon the world knows. His eyes, sharp as daggers, pierce the assembly, and in his hands, he clutches a fortified metal briefcase, a vault that seems to pulse with the weight of unspeakable secrets. The murmurs die, replaced by an oppressive silence that presses against the walls. Pitt isn't here for a role, not for a red carpet premiere. He's here to testify, to unleash a truth so explosive it could reduce Diddy's empire to ashes. As he takes the witness stand, his voice, deep and unwavering, cuts through the tension like a blade. I'm not here for myself. I'm here for my friend, Leonardo DiCaprio, who vanished over a month ago under mysterious circumstances. I'm here to expose the crimes of Sean Combs and to protect the countless lives he's destroyed. I won't rest until justice is served and Leo is brought home. A ripple of shock surges through the courtroom. Jurors freeze, their faces etched with disbelief. Reporters scribble frantically, pens trembling in their hands. At the defendant's table, Diddy's icy composure cracks for a fleeting moment, a flicker of panic betraying his carefully crafted mask. Leonardo DiCaprio, one of the planet's brightest stars, gone without a trace. Pitt's voice trembles with restrained emotion as he begins to unravel a story that chills the room to its core. A month ago, Leo disappeared. No texts, no calls, no clues. His sleek New York penthouse, his sprawling Los Angeles mansion, his secluded retreat nestled in the French countryside, all empty, as if he'd been erased from existence. Pitt, alongside Leo's mother, Ermeline, and his sister, scoured every possible lead. They combed through his properties, questioned his inner circle, and pleaded with authorities. But the police offered only vague assurances, their investigation stalling in a mire of bureaucracy. Hope began to fray, each day stretching into an eternity of dread. Then, one fateful night, as shadows cloaked the winding roads of Hollywood Hills, a package appeared at Pitt's doorstep. No sender's name, no return address, just a plain, unmarked box. Inside, a single USB drive, its cold plastic casing gleaming under the dim light of his study. With a sinking feeling, Pitt plugged it into his laptop. The screen flickered to life, and what he saw struck him like a physical blow. Leonardo DiCaprio, his friend of over 20 years, bound to a rusted metal chair in a grimy, dimly lit basement. His face was bruised, his lips crusted with dried blood, his once pristine clothes torn to shreds. The footage was grainy, likely recorded by an outdated security camera, but the horror was unmistakable. A distorted, almost demonic voice sliced through the static. Prepare $10 million in 48 hours, contact the police, and he dies. The video ended with Leo struggling to lift his head, his eyes a haunting mix of desperation and a faint, flickering spark of hope, as if he believed someone might see this and act. Pitt sat frozen, his heart pounding in his chest, the room spinning around him. The image of Leo, broken, captive, seared itself into his mind. But before he could process the nightmare, his phone rang, shattering the silence. An unknown number. Against his usual instinct to ignore such calls, a gut-wrenching premonition urged him to answer. On the other end, faint and fractured, was Leo's voice. Brad, I don't have much time. They have no intention of letting me go. They're planning a purge. Anyone who knows anything will be silenced. Protect my mom and sister. I've got proof of Diddy's crimes. It's at my old house in Topanga Canyon, in a steel box in the basement. Be careful, Brad. Diddy and his people are cunning. If you're not cautious, they'll drag you down with me. The call cut off abruptly, leaving only the echo of Leo's plea in the darkness. Pitt sprang into action, his mind racing but his resolve unshakable. He whisked Leo's mother and sister to his fortified Los Angeles estate, transforming his sanctuary into a stronghold guarded by private security. Then, under the cover of night, he set out alone for Topanga Canyon, a remote woodland retreat where Leo once escaped the relentless glare of Hollywood. The forest seemed alive with menace, its gnarled branches clawing at the sky, the wind whispering warnings. Pitt's flashlight cut through the darkness as he approached the house, its weathered facade looming like a relic of forgotten secrets. Inside, the air was thick with damp and decay. He descended into the basement, each step echoing in the suffocating silence. There, hidden behind a false electrical panel, he found it, a sealed steel box, its surface glinting coldly in the beam of his light. A fingerprint lock guarded its contents, but by a stroke of fate, Leo had once shared the code with him during a drunken night years ago, a precaution neither had taken seriously at the time. With trembling fingers, Pitt entered the digits. The lock clicked open. What he found inside shattered him. His knees buckled, his stomach churned, and he collapsed, retching onto the cold concrete floor. I've starred in dozens of thrillers, he would later tell the court, his voice cracking with anguish. But nothing could have prepared me for this. The box contained a meticulously curated archive of horrors, documents, videos, audio recordings, proof of crimes so heinous they seemed torn from a nightmare. Leo, once a close ally of Diddy, had seen through the mogul's facade and spent years gathering evidence, knowing he could become a target. This was his insurance, his atonement, his weapon. In the courtroom, Pitt hands a hard drive to the prosecutor, a backup of the evidence he safeguarded in a hidden safe behind his fireplace. The room braces itself as the files are projected onto a massive screen. A deathly silence descends, so profound it seems to choke the air. The first file plays, a 12-minute audio recording, secretly captured by Leo in 2020 at Diddy's private villa in the Cayman Islands. Diddy's voice, icy and deliberate, fills the room, addressing three shadowy figures, a media conglomerate CEO, a high-ranking politician, and an international gang leader. If you want this empire to stand, he says, no one who talks gets to live. I've already handled 3 others, including that actor. You know who I'm talking about. He alludes to a Hollywood star whose mysterious 2018 plane crash has long been whispered to involve Diddy. The audio is paired with footage from a hidden camera Leo planted in the room. It shows Diddy holding a handwritten list, reading aloud the names of 12 individuals, including Leonardo DiCaprio, marked as a priority target. In one chilling moment, Diddy orders a henchman to silence anyone who's seen things they shouldn't. His sinister grin freezing the blood of everyone in the room. Gasps ripple through the courtroom, but the horror has only begun. The second file is an 8-minute video, filmed on Leo's phone during a clandestine 2021 party in a Paris wine cellar. It opens with Diddy standing before a massed crowd, presiding over a ritual dubbed the sacrifice ceremony. A young woman, bound to a stone table, is surrounded by crimson candles, their flames flickering like trapped souls. Cloaked in black, Diddy recites a self-written scripture, proclaiming the girl a gift for the empire's immortality. The camera shakes in Leo's hands, capturing his terror as he witnesses the unthinkable. Alongside the video is Leo's journal, found in the steel box. Its pages, scrawled in his handwriting, chronicle his guilt and dread. I tried to distance myself from Diddy, but he knows too much. He has footage of me at one of his parties. He said if I speak out, he'll come for my mom and sister. I've collected this evidence to atone, but I don't know if I'll live long enough to bring it to light. The third file is a 200-page encrypted dossier, stored on a Kessler hard drive titled Project Babylon. It exposes a global human trafficking network orchestrated by Diddy since 2005. Slave contracts. Fraudulent agreements promising modeling or music careers lured young women from Eastern Europe, Africa, and South America, only to funnel them into Diddy's notorious freak-off parties, where they endured unspeakable abuse. A chart lists over 100 victims, transported via private jets to 12 secret locations worldwide. A map pinpoints safe houses in the Caribbean, Dubai, and Southeast Asia, prisons disguised as opulent estates. A handwritten note by Diddy describes breaking their will through drugs and threats against their families. Cold-blooded transactions detail gifts, cash, properties, yachts, sent to influential figures to cover up the crimes. A satellite image of Diddy's private island reveals a zone labeled the Glass Cage, a prison-like facility where victims were confined. One line in the document sends a chill through the room. After use, take them to the furnace. Leave no trace. The courtroom erupts in stifled cries. Jurors cover their mouths, some turning away from the screen, unable to bear the images. Diddy's daughter, seated in the gallery, breaks down in sobs and flees, her footsteps echoing like a requiem. At the defendant's table, Diddy keeps his head bowed, but his clenched fists and burning eyes betray a fury barely contained, as if he's already plotting retribution. Pitt, his voice trembling with a mix of grief and resolve, confesses a gut-wrenching mistake. After receiving the video and Leo's call, he contacted the police in a panic. A man claiming to be an officer instructed him to place the USB in a mailbox near a park, warning that exposing Diddy publicly would lead to Leo's immediate death. Swayed by the caller's authoritative tone, Pitt complied, only to learn a month later that no progress had been made in Leo's case. "I was deceived," he says, tears welling in his eyes. "That person might have been one of Diddy's operatives, but thank God I backed everything up. I kept a copy in a safe behind my fireplace. Today, I brought it here to ensure justice is served." Diddy's defense, led by Mark Agnafo, a legal shark with a razor-sharp reputation, launches a calculated counterattack. With a tone dripping with subtle mockery, Agnafo declares, "Mr. Pitt is an actor, a Hollywood icon with a gift for transformation. Who's to say this isn't an elaborately staged script designed to ruin my client?" He questions Pitt's motives, criticizing his decision to bring such explosive evidence to court rather than alerting the police immediately. Why would someone like Brad Pitt, with a storied career and global adoration, risk everything for an unverified tale? Is he chasing attention, or is this part of a larger conspiracy? Agnafo's words cast a fleeting shadow of doubt over the jury, their faces flickering with uncertainty. But the prosecution, led by seasoned prosecutor Maren Comey, a woman whose steely gaze could silence a storm, dismantles the defense's argument with surgical precision. The videos, documents, and audio have been rigorously authenticated by independent experts, their legitimacy beyond question. To bolster the case, Comey introduces testimony from Adam Sandler, recorded earlier in the trial. Sandler, another of Diddy's victims, described how Diddy manipulated him psychologically, coercing him into bizarre situations and threatening him with secretly recorded videos. "Diddy made me feel like I belonged to him," Sandler said, his voice heavy with shame. "He traps you, makes you feel indebted, like there's no way out." Sandler's account, paired with security footage recovered from Diddy's cloud account showing him ordering a group to deal with an uncooperative individual, paints a damning picture of a sophisticated criminal network, one that could easily orchestrate a disappearance like Leo's. Throughout the trial, Diddy maintains an almost statuesque demeanor, his face a mask of cold indifference. But in rare moments cracks appear, a twitch in his jaw, a flash of panic in his eyes. When a recording of a conversation with his mother is referenced, his hands clench so tightly his knuckles whiten, as if he's holding back a tempest. Spectators notice him whispering to Agnafo, the words inaudible but laced with urgency. These subtle gestures, though fleeting, are like fractures in the flawless facade Diddy has built over decades. The most poignant moment comes as Pitt's testimony stretches into its final hours. He turns to the judge, his voice breaking but resolute, his eyes pleading with a raw, human desperation. "Your Honor, I'm not here just to accuse Diddy. I'm here to beg for help in finding my friend. Leo is out there somewhere, maybe locked in a cell, maybe tortured. He risked everything to gather this evidence, not just for himself, but for dozens, perhaps hundreds of other victims. Every second that passes, I fear he's enduring the same horrors as those in these videos. Please send the police to search for him. Save Leo. The courtroom falls silent, the weight of his words hanging like a shroud. Several jurors wipe away tears, their faces etched with empathy. The judge, stern but visibly moved, nods and vows to request an urgent investigation into Leonardo DiCaprio's whereabouts. As Pitt steps down from the stand, his shoulders sag under the burden of what he's unleashed. He's no longer the star of Fight Club, or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He's a man, a friend, a solitary figure who's risked everything, his reputation, his safety, his peace, to save Leo and expose a truth that threatens to upend an industry. But this story is far from over. Leo remains missing, each passing minute a potential death knell. Pitt's evidence has sent shockwaves through Hollywood, but will it be enough to bring Diddy to justice? Who will be the next to rise, to challenge the shadow of power that still looms large? This trial is more than a legal battle, it's a reckoning. It holds a mirror to Hollywood, exposing the cracks in a system where power corrupts and fame conceals monstrosities. Pitt's decision to testify, to place himself in the crosshairs of a dangerous empire, is a rare act of courage. As one of the world's biggest stars, he had no need for more fame or attention. Yet he chose to stand for justice, to risk it all for a friend and for the countless victims silenced by fear. His actions raise profound questions. Where is the line between influence and abuse? When a figure like Diddy can wield wealth, fame, and connections to manipulate an entire ecosystem, from celebrities to managers to officials, what responsibility do we bear? We, the audience, who consume music, movies, and pop culture, have we unwittingly enabled this darkness by idolizing such figures? Or are we merely pawns in a machine designed to bury the truth? As the courtroom empties, the air remains charged with an electric tension. Outside, the crowd buzzes, cameras tracking every movement, but Pitt slips into the shadows, his mission incomplete. Inside, Diddy sits motionless, his eyes fixed on an unseen horizon, as if calculating his next move in a game only he understands. The jurors, forever changed by what they've witnessed, carry the weight of those images, grainy videos, bloodied faces, lists of names, into their deliberations. Diddy's daughter, shattered by the revelations, is gone, her absence a silent scream in the chaos. And somewhere, perhaps in a dank basement, or a fortified compound on a distant island, Leonardo DiCaprio may still be fighting, his fate hanging by a thread. This saga is a clarion call, a beacon in the darkness. The truth, no matter how painful or perilous, demands courage. Pitt has shown the way, but he is one man against the colossus. The victims on Diddy's silence list, those who live in terror, may find in this trial a spark of hope, a chance to break free, to speak out, but the cost is steep. Leo's family, grappling with fear and loss, clings to the possibility of his return, but they face wounds that may never heal. Those who enabled Diddy, officials who took bribes, stars who stayed silent out of fear, now face the scrutiny of the public and their own consciences. Justice, even when it prevails, cannot erase the pain inflicted. But it can be a beginning, a step toward healing, toward preventing future atrocities. The world watches, breathless, as the clock ticks. Is Leo still alive, or has he become another ghost in Diddy's wake? Will Pitt's evidence dismantle an empire, or will wealth and influence once again bury the truth? Who will be the next to stand, to carry the torch against the system that thrives on secrecy? We stand at a crossroads, where silence is a cage and truth is a battlefield. The choice is ours, to look away or to fight. What side will you choose?